We're live.
Return of the King.
So 62, 63, two kings today. Return of
We're
Ali
in
Shammari with
60.
another king. Muhammad Jawad Jaafar. Welcome. We made it to 60
Thank you.
episodes. There you go. Welcome,
episode.
welcome. And of course, Saeed. Always good to see you, Saeed.
Man, yeah.
Hopefully
Saeed,
another milestone of 100 and 200.
Bro.
Oh my
200. Hopefully.
We're not counting.
Yeah,
we're not honestly. We're not counting. It just happened.
Yeah.
Let's just see how far we can push this more. That's how.
Let's just jump right into it. Let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Saeed, tell us,
We are-
man. What's the topic for today?
Boys, just fuck it. That we undergo that hasn't changed or hasn't evolved in the past 100 fucking years. Why?
What hasn't evolved?
Education system.
Education system. It hasn't evolved in 100 years. You mean your
Yeah,
grandparents are doing the same courses you're taking? Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure. Oh, yeah. Mhm.
I know. I meant the way they teach us. It's still the same for for how long has it been?
Can you teach any other way than the way you teach? Yani? Could our high school have taught us, or can any have taught us differently?
Well, Finland is coming up with great ideas on that matter. I remember once I read that they were coming up with each subject would be taught in a way not like how we memorize stuff back in high school, but more like it was interactive. So, for
Mhm.
example, history would be taught in an interactive type of way where they would act it out or something like that. I mean, definitely, if you make studies and research about it, you can find a different approach to teach your students the different subjects that you have. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Don't worry
you
about
can
it.
mute. No, you can mute. Let's keep going. Yeah. The interactive teaching. Yeah, dude. I feel like everything I memorized from Sabbath, I forgot everything. All the physics, the chemistry,
Exactly.
the math. I really can't tell you. Like someone was telling me some like physics thing about. I was like, I saw the image. I don't.
He's lagging a little bit. Ali, you're lagging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not.
Let me unmute him. There we go. All right, Saeed, you should be unmuted now. There we go.
Yeah.
All right,
Sorry about that.
don't worry about it. No, it's cool. Don't worry. Stuff happens. Okay, wow. Anyways, education, you guys are saying that should be changed. The issue with education is how are we going to change it, boys? So what's the deal? What's the plan? What's our alternative?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't know. You just have to start somewhere at the end of the point. Like my point of view about it. Just it's the education system as a whole. I don't know. It's just society as a whole. If you think about it, I don't know. It's just, for example, let me give you an example. Remember, Britain colonized South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So if you study at a school in South Africa, they teach you the colonizers as bad people. If you go to schools of black schools, for example, like black-based schools. But if you study that history in Britain, they teach you it as heroes. Those people were heroes. They went and they fought for freedom. They did this and that, and so yeah, that's how. We just have to start somewhere. I don't know, just the world to. I don't know, just all one hand, I guess, to be like decide on one thing, on one educational system, and like to go this road, I guess. I don't know.
So you're looking for like a globalization of education. So every country is educating
exactly.
the same subject, same matter, same way. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Somehow.
I like that. I think that I think every single place has its own kind of like way to live your life. Like living in Kuwait is very different than living in Lebanon, South Africa, America.
100%.
Right? Like, school should prepare you to your life for school, and maybe. So it's like if everything were kind of the same, then maybe we'll all be the same, right? I think teaching teaches us how to be different.
No, there's
Exactly.
this, there
That's the way I think about it.
there was a statement that was said that education hundreds of years ago is the same as today.
Mhm.
Not wherever you go. In Kuwait, education used to be something else, you know, like something completely different to what it was today. Like back then, boys were educated on religion, sword fighting, riding horses. You know, this was the education back
Mhm.
here.
Mm.
Slowly, when we got colonized by the British, they changed our school system. After that, we changed it back to, okay, for example, we'll talk history. Now, history in Kuwait, the public schools, they teach about the history of Kuwait, right? Which is relevant because that's the country you are from. So that's the history you should learn. Well, I went to a British school, so our history was mainly, you know, British people. Henry VIII, the fourth, the seventh, Edward from 1 to 4,
Richard.
Richard from
Mhm.
1 to whatever, you know, Vikings. And it wasn't like, oh, the Vikings lived like this. No, it was like the Vikings invaded England. Okay, well, tell us more about the Vikings. No, they just invaded England, you know. History, fine. Like history depends on where you're studying it. Obviously, it's going to vary. But when we talk about things like science, the important stuff, science, maths, you know, English, the language, Arabic, the language, these are the things that, well, we can't change because it's fixed. Science is science. It's not going to change unless someone
100%.
comes up with a Nobel Prize worth, you know. It all varies on what part of science can we teach kids. I'm not going to teach kids in biology the full anatomy of the human body. No, that's stuff for medicine, right? So we'll teach them some normal stuff. I'm not going to teach them like the whole plant system and everything. That's agriculture. So we'll teach them some of that. So in school, the way it's set up is we give you a taste of every different thing you can be in life. If you choose to excel at something, then that's where you're going to be continuing for the rest of your life. Do I agree
But
with
I feel like
Go ahead, tell me.
you can't decide the thing that you're passionate about when you're so young. Maybe like your passion changes over time, you know. I feel like
Definitely true.
Maybe 50 years ago they could. Like maybe our grandparents could at the age of like 17 decide they want to get married and have their whole life figured out by then. But for us, it's completely different.
It's because the rate
yeah,
of
different generations.
maturation between different generations is phenomenal. That's why.
Mhm.
At that time, I'll give you a good example.
You think we're going backwards or like
I think we're going
with
backwards, definitely. In terms of maturity and maturing, definitely we're going backwards. I'll give you a good example. So the previous and past king of Saudi Arabia, Faisal of Saudi Arabia, Allah yarhamah, he was a diplomatic character at the age of 11. At the age of 11, his dad sent him to the UK to help the Saudi Arabian cause, and he was successful. The age of 11, right? Do any of you have baby cousins that you know that are like around that age?
Of course not.
Well, if I do, their concern isn't politics and like trying to achieve great political power. Theirs was basically, yo, when is it my turn on the PS4? You know, that was their concern. So maturation and maturity is decreasing, right?
Well, you can't compare the like King Faisal,
Fair enough. Okay.
home educated, right, with millions of dollars. So I don't know how much they paid
At
for
the
his
time,
education.
they didn't have that much money. Oil was still not that very discovered at the
But
time
still,
of
if you're
his.
like a prince, you're still getting the best education in the country.
Not exactly,
he was
because at the time Saudi Arabia was still not fully like a full country. There was, you know, like my ancestral tribe fighting the Al Saud, and like there was all that stuff. But even if we go back in time, like people our age or even younger than us are like fighting soldiers, full soldiers, right? Like full fledged. Like they know what to do with a sword, right? Now, how many times have either of us cut ourselves in the damn kitchen? Right?
Yeah.
So like it's not about he was a king and we're normal people. No. That's not it. It's that at his time, education was different, priorities was different, life itself was different. These were Bedouins living in the middle of in the desert, right? Under tents and like clay houses. Compared to now, like we're all in really good living situations. We have air conditioning. Some of us have electricity.
That's why I always say school of life is more important than I don't know. This school of life is way more important than anything. To experience the struggle of life. I don't know, making something out of nothing, for example. I don't know, experiencing, because out there's a lot of things to experience, and there's a lot of things to learn from. Basically, that's what
like what?
that's my personal experience. For example, for example, in my field, the one that I'm working in, no one taught me how to properly approach different kinds of people, because like every person, there's a different way to approach them, there's a different way to talk to them, there's a different way to treat them, and for example, emotional intelligence. That's something I've never been taught about. That's something I feel like is so important, to know what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and when you're feeling this, or what triggers this and what triggers that. So that's what school of life teaches you. That's what it taught me, to be honest, from personal experience.
Okay, here's my response to that. For me, the school of life was mainly my parents. They're the ones who taught me how to talk to people, how to approach different people, right? This is something we call in Arabic tarbiyah. To raising people, raising your kids, right? So I agree with you that there should be some stuff that schools should teach us in terms of how to approach different people, how to talk, how to, but this mainly comes from home. Now, as parents, no one wants someone else raising their kids, right? Like, I think we can all agree with that statement, right?
No, I'm specifically talking about the business world, in a way or not.
Business world, okay.
So, yeah, like, okay, approaching different kinds of people, there's a formal way to approach it. We've all been taught that, the way of respect, having high morals, values, and principles that you abide to and stuff like that. But I'm talking more into the business life, because when you go want to make a deal with someone, you can't speak to this person the same way you spoke to another person about a specific deal. If you want to sell him, for example, phones, let's say. Okay. That's what I learned.
Well, it's more than school of life. I think it's like an apprenticeship also. I feel like back in the day, our parents or older people, they used to like be an apprentice for a bit. If you want to learn anything, if you want to learn how to build a building, right, you'd work under this guy for a couple of years. College wasn't really a thing, right?
Yeah,
so like
just experience it.
Exactly. So I don't know when, now we have to go to college and get a degree, so then we can restart, and then that's how it's.
You lagged a bit.
All right, Saeed, go.
Yeah, he's lagging very hard, boys.
Ali, I can't hear you.
Look, guys, my 3G consumption is about to finish. Let me charge and just get back to you real quick.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's keep.
Anyways, so what were we saying about approaching people and stuff? Apprenticeship. Yes. Okay. Well, apprenticeship still exists, by the way. It's just we don't really know about it. Like, I had my apprenticeship kind of when I went into the hospital with my dad. I watched what he did, how he did, That was my form of apprenticeship. Now with engineering, there is also apprenticeship. Like, I remember our school used to take us around to different universities. Like, in the university, people would show us what the students would do, show us how their lives are, tell us a lot about what goes on. This is good because you kind of get a little sense of what you might be signing up for. Am I right? Like, this is literally something we need.
I think you have to do that before college. If it were up to me, I'd say before you go to college and study anything, you have to like work a year or two. The problem here is that you don't have jobs for everyone. Like, not everyone can be an apprentice because you have too many people and not enough jobs.
I mean, that's true. But I want to roll it back a little bit. Let's talk about school systems and the school system itself, right? My one issue with school system is that they always taught us what to think. They didn't teach us how to think, which is a very famous Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, right? It's important. Like for me, it was important for me to understand why so and so is so and so. For example, 1 + 1, why does it equal 2, right? I know it sounds kind of stupid, right? But like, bear with me. I'll come to explain it. We memorized like 1 + 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2. We memorized it. We never quite understood why. Why is it when you divide 2? Like, what's this division thing? What's this addition? What's this subtraction? What does it do? Why do we do it? So we never really understood what.
I would say on the teacher also. If like problem with the is that really depends. It's like teacher by teacher basis. How much teacher wants to, and like not easy to because they give you this curriculum. They're like, "This is what you're supposed to do today. Teach it." Because they have an exam at the end of the week.
Oh. That's bad.
Like it's
Yikes.
it
Is
is.
that me?
No, Ali is lagging a lot. Like us three are okay. It's just Ali, his internet. Tell Hadi
No,
to
I meant,
stop downloading Warzone, bro.
is that what I look like when I lag?
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Dang.
Yep.
What I want to contribute to the conversation is how the schools, I feel like they have an obligation to like teach us how to fit in and how to work, how to be able to take on responsibilities as we mature, and learn things and teach us things that we can use other than the courses that they are giving us. For example, once you reach 18, technically you're an independent person, and you have to deal with your own documents and your bills and whatnot. There is no course for life, and this is something I think they should work on. Like create a course that's called whatever, I don't care what it's called. This is how I labeled it, but so that they can learn from it and be able to know how to proceed choices and their decision making. Because once you turn 18 and then you go into university, most people our age don't know what they're studying, and even when they graduate university, they're still confused, or they have an identity crisis, or they're just all over the place with their thoughts. They don't have a way of like just calming down and like focusing onto their priorities and what they want to do with their lives, because no one them that.
I think another thing side is that also the problem is in a lot of places that you can study for something and then end up not being able to work in that field because there aren't any jobs.
There's
our parents
100%.
used to train. Our parents used to or our grandparents used to tell our parents that if you go to school, you're gonna have a life that's better than we did, right? But now our parents can't kind of tell us the same thing because like jobs aren't there to society. I don't know.
We talked about it last weekend about job saturation because of the amount of people that are applying for jobs nowadays. For example, engineers and doctors, and everyone's like fixating on the same demand from the market.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's also economy. Economy has a major role in job industries. If the country can't support you by paying your salaries, the only other option is to let you go. So that has nothing to do with school. I find it quite irrelevant to the whole school system, right? So why, like, okay, we talked about the school is like the system is a little bit bad. Come up with a different solution then, because there literally is. I don't see any different other solution. We can the only country that has been trying to change it are the Baltic countries, I think is what you might call them, which is like Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
Scandinavian countries.
Scandinavian, yes, the Scandinavian countries, right? Now, for me, this is what I would suggest for school systems to do. Say we ask this child, what do you want to be? He says, I want to be an engineer. Fair. His final years of school is purely dedicated on physics, maths, and these subjects that are like solely purposeful for engineer students, right? This was something. This isn't something I came up with. This is something that has actually been thought of. Someone wants to be a doctor, fine, teach him biology, physics, chemistry, and all these like important subjects that will help him in his medical career. He wants to be an actor, teach him drama, music, all that stuff. Okay. Halfway through your course, say you were that child, you decided, you know what, I don't want to be a singer, I want to be a doctor. Whoa. That's a different change. That's from music and arts and drama all the way to science and, you know, physics and all that stuff. Doesn't make sense. Like, what are you going to do with the child? You're going to make him repeat all of this again? That
That's
won't
what most
work.
people end up doing. And honestly, I think, like you were saying, to be taught these courses in depth so that they can obviously become more focused on that career path. But before they make that suggestion, like they want to be a doctor or an engineer or anything, I think the education system should come up with a more in-depth aptitude tests so that people become more, yeah, they understand more what what skills that they have, or more associate themselves with, so that they can make a better decision when they want to choose a career path.
But why do we need a test for a person to decide what he wants to be?
Hmm.
Person can just
because
decide
no one
what he wants to be.
because no one actually knows what they want. Everyone goes into university being influenced by their parents or the people around them.
Not everyone.
What
That's an unfair assumption because I wasn't
It's not
influenced to
everyone, yeah,
be.
true.
My parents, I'll say this now. My dad, for example, he was against me being a medical student at first, at the start. Now he's with me, he's supporting me. But at the start, he was completely against it, right?
okay.
So it's not that my dad influenced me to be a doctor. It was the complete opposite. It's not always the
Hmm.
case. Maybe it is in some people's households, but in others,
It's the
it's.
majority.
I wouldn't say so. Honestly, I really wouldn't say so. Maybe it is in Lebanon. That's a fair assumption because again,
Hmm.
I don't know, right? But in Kuwait, that's not the
Now,
majority case.
question, you mentioned your dad, but what about other relatives? Did they ever say anything about you going into medicine or anything like that?
No, they're just like, oh, you decided to go to medicine. Okay, good luck. That was it. Why? Because we understand here that in the end of the day, our parents don't live forever. Sad to say, but it's the truth. They don't. So
Okay.
are are we
Now,
gonna let them for their last say 30 to 50, 15 to 30 years of their life? They get to choose what we do for the rest of ours. Like, it's an unfair decision. It's not how it works.
that's true. For example, I'll say my side of the story. No one knew but myself that I was going to do gonna do political science, and I made that decision in the second year of the second semester of my freshman year. Like I wasn't even going into that major in the first place when I joined university.
What major was that? I didn't
I made
hear.
that decision out of nowhere, just by. One second, my connection is a bit unstable.
It is.
Yeah, I was saying that science in the university in my second semester in the freshman year. Like I wasn't even thinking about this major before that semester. And obviously I was influenced by my family and people around me to do another major, for example business
Hmm.
or engineering or even
Why?
medicine.
Why? Yeah, as opposed to political science.
Well, why political science? I don't know, it struck out when I read it. I just
No,
randomly saw it on
why not? Why not political science as opposed to like business or?
because it's not, no one in my family worked in that field.
Hmm.
So for example, my uncle actually studied political science, and I found out about that after I picked my major. I didn't know about it beforehand. I found out about it, and he doesn't work in political science. He wanted to become an ambassador, but it didn't work for him. and because he needed to make quick money back in his time, so he went into the banking field.
That's funny.
That's the truth of our time.
It's hard to discuss these kind of conversations because you always feel like it won't ever lead to anywhere. But it's important to have these conversations because who knows what the future holds for this kind of subject matter, which is education and how to fix it and where to go on from wherever they are. When we talk about work field, because in the end of the day, everyone wants to have a job. Everyone wants to get paid, right? Everyone wants to fit in society. No one was ever going to say, you know what? I don't want to work. I don't want money. That doesn't exist. There's not a single person alive that has that mindset of I just don't want to work unless they have another income source or they come from rich parents. Generally speaking, no, we all want to work and make some, bread on the side. Now, here's the major issue I have with this mindset. Going to university does not equal getting a job. There are lots of self-made millionaires out there, right? They make their money based on basically, them working hard with no university degrees. We all heard the saying, "Oh, look at Oprah Winfrey. She doesn't have any degree, and she's literally like a millionaire, if not billionaire."
Billionaire.
Right? Like all these different people. You have these actors, singers. But then again,
we only see the good parts.
We only
see the highlight cases. Yeah, we don't see the millions of actors that fail.
Exactly. It's so it comes down to this is a bifurcation in life, right? Either you're talented enough to skip university, right? And if you're lucky enough to have the right set of genetics that pushes you into that direction, you're a millionaire.
Question. Do you guys believe everyone has a talent? Has a specific talent in them?
Yeah.
If we can, as an educational system, find a way to trigger that talent in someone or find that talent in someone based on a strategy that you use, a procedure, I don't know how, and then, okay, this is your talent. This is what you can do in life. This is what you will excel in life with. And you can go with that.
True.
But there's an issue with that, is that you place a child under this, cage where we decide your future instead of you decide your future. If we tell them, oh, you're so talented at singing. Okay, I'm good at singing, but I don't want to sing. I want to work in the farmlands. No, you should sing.
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, you have a point in that. Can't dispute that at all.
So it's kind of hard to do. So let's go back to what I was saying. This is the first bifurcation aspect. The second bias is, okay, well, I can't sing. I can't act for shit. I can't do any of this. What are my options? Finance, business, medicine, STEM, any of this, engineering, they fall into these certain boxes and they're shipped to university. They come back with a degree. Well, their life isn't easy, They still find a job, secure, hold a high ranking official, whatever, nepotism, all that stuff. And it's like, still you're not guaranteed.
That's true.
The root of the problem is life is not fair, boys.
But it's true. Life is a struggle, right? But there are things we can do to make it better.
There is.
Like in school right now. I don't know. Well, I'm thinking about how in school right now, everyone's kind of ranked, especially in Sabbath, right? They drank everyone and they treat everyone.
We had the same.
The top.
He's lagging.
He's gonna go to STEM and education, and the rest of you guys, good luck.
Wait, say that again. You lagged.
Yeah, I was just saying, they rank you quite.
We have the same.
Right? On one.
Oh boy.
Really up to you how you can.
Well, we had the same in school. In school, what we had sets, right? So we had the top sets, which were the geniuses, the ones who were always straight A students, always handing in their homework, always being the best of the best, right? So that was set 1. And then you had set 2 to 4. That was your average, You're like B's and C student. Your co-host over here was in set 5, the borderline retarded. Okay,
Same here.
we were in like I was in a bottom set, so like I was in a small class, 9 students, like 5 boys and 4 girls, right? All our grades were always the same. Anytime there was an issue in the school, it was usually someone from our class, right? It was bad. Oh, and he DC'd. He'll be back. It was terrible. Like, I remember like so many stuff that happened. We were always the worst of the worst, right? So
Sorry, boy, just a second.
take your time.
I need to open this gate.
Don't worry about it. Anyways, so I'll continue speaking.
I'm here.
Love to you, Saeed. Much love to you. Anyways, so I remember I was always told like we're the class that's usually gonna end up going to any like diploma school, the low grade tier school, you know, the crappy whatever. It's not true. Most of us.
Sorry, guys. Someone's here to test me for Corona test once again.
Can you do it on cam? Is it possible you do it on
Yeah,
cam?
yeah. I'm gonna
All
do
right.
it on cam actually.
Hell yeah, let's spotlight this guy.
Let's spotlight it. Anyways, all the best. We pray that you're, negative and not positive.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Oh.
There we go.
Speaking of tests.
Speaking of tests, right? Okay. So we had the same thing, Ali, in school. They would put us in sets, and the ones on the top were usually the ones to go do medicine. The ones in the bottom were the ones who like. Nasopharynx. Watch this, you guys. This is gonna be funny. So to our viewers now, to our Spotify listeners, our guest Mohammed Jawad is going to be having his nasopharynx swab for the COVID-19 test, which is, so we're just gonna have a reaction. By the way, I don't know if you've did it before, but it kind of hurt.
مريض شوي زعيم ومنخرط nose clogged and
Throat
mouth
sore.
irritation. Throat irritation, yeah.
Anyways, I was explaining to them like the test and what's gonna happen. It's a little bit painful, but you'll be able to endure it. Don't worry about it.
I did it yesterday. I'm doing it once again because I'm traveling on Tuesday.
Oh wow!
I'm going to London. Yeah.
All right. He's look at him. He's so scared, man. Dude, chill. You're fine. All right, boys. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Like,
Are you okay? It's painful, boys. It's really painful. I don't know if you guys did it or not. It is. I had to do it when I came back. Basically, it's a really long swab, and it goes into it rubs on the wall of the nasopharynx, which is a little chamber behind your nose that connects to your throat. And they swab and they put it and they do PCR, which is reverse polymerization chain reaction or something like that.
yep.
It's not an antibody. They just basically look at the genetic set, and if it's matching the COVID's genetic set, then he has COVID.
So that means if you, it only tests if you have it right now. It doesn't test like if you had.
It's no. It's not how it works. You either have it or you don't. All right.
Because I know some of them test like if you did have it at one point.
No. There's no test. There's an antibody test to see if you did have it or not, which is they take a blood serum, and they'll know if you have the right antibodies, which is the ones that are used against the virus. Then yeah, you used to have COVID. If you don't, then you never had it. Let's not get into it, please. I'm disgusted with this stupid immunity course. Anyways, salamat
Oh,
Ghali.
man. Thank you.
Then, hopefully you're okay. Let's get back to the subject matter at hand.
Well, one question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it?
It's not it doesn't hurt. It's not painful, but it's irritating. It's just it goes up to the brain.
Rate
It's
it.
like
Rate
all
it.
the it's just like 8 out of 10, 7
Oh
out
my
of 10.
God.
Yeah, I think I was
Yeah.
gonna say when I did it was a solid 7 out of 10 in terms of
Yeah,
irritation.
but it's just irritating.
Yeah, don't worry about
It
it.
just goes all the way inside, man. It's just, you can feel it in here.
Yeah,
Oh
because that's where the sinus is. Anyways, back to school. You know, since it's a back to school topic and kids are going back to school soon. Oh yeah, wait. Let's talk
That's
about this. This is a good, this is an interesting tangent we can go off on. How do you guys see, like in Lebanon, how did COVID affect school system? Like, what happened? Where did things go?
Everything went online.
Everything went
All
online,
schools
huh?
shut down. Cities went online. Everything.
What about in South Africa? What happened in South Africa?
First it was online, then they closed the universities completely and schools completely.
And what did
Because
they
in
just
South
pass you?
Africa, not necessarily. Some universities they do it this way, some universities that way. It depends on the university, you know. But in South Africa, it's kind of bad because we're getting like 13,000 cases every day, 15,000 cases every day. So it's kind of bad. So that's why they canceled universities for this semester and schools for this semester for the next 2-3 months until it reaches the peak, and then it goes down. That's where they will open the schools again and everything will open again.
It's the same in Jordan, but Jordan zeroed out their cases. So they're worried about the students coming back to Jordan that are from what they call, because now Jordan opened their airports, but to green countries. So they basically labeled a bunch of countries who have minimal cases, not a lot of new cases per day. That's a green country. Then you have your yellow and red country, right? So stuff like the States, South Africa, Kuwait now is a red country according to Jordan.
Really?
Yeah. It's like me going back is a little bit, like it's not a guaranteed thing. Another thing is,
Wait, but
come again?
why is Kuwait a red country?
Because in Kuwait, let me find the amount of cases now. We reached 60, maybe 70. Hold on, COVID, Kuwait.
60,000.
Okay.
That's not a lot.
63
what's
confirmed,
there?
53,000 recovered, 429 deaths. It's pretty, it's our population is 4 million.
It's true. New York has that in one day, though. One day of New York is 3 times that amount.
Jesus.
So
I'm worried about education going online because it's who is this going to internet, right? They say
exactly who
thing
does
really
have
fail,
internet.
We're in Lebanon,
boys.
I mean, Ali's in the US, so I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's his excuse. You guys are Lebanon and you're relatively okay, I'm in Kuwait. In the beginning of the podcast, I used to be the one with the internet issues. And now it's ready, This is what you get for making fun of me. It's called karma.
I'm worried, if you can hear me, about kids who are poor, right? Who already have it hard enough, to get a job in the future, and now they're missing on education because they don't want to open up schools. What are you going to do if you miss out a year of schooling? That's very, 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 very damaging.
Ali, did you see they said that they wanted to open schools for non-white people?
Oh.
Is that true? Where? In States?
In the US, yeah.
No ways.
Well, it is going to affect minorities the most. like not being going because like if you're like wealthier, right, you can get like homeschooled, or you can afford to like spend time with your kids more because you don't have to work as much, or you can bring in like grandparents to come and stay with the kids if you're fortunate and wealthy. But if you're poor and you're working two jobs and like you don't have time, like you teach your own kid, who's going to teach your kid?
Yeah, but are the non-whites, like basically the minorities, are they considered lab rats so that the white people can see what happens
Mhm.
Dude,
if the other students, go
you
school
guys,
first?
you guys,
What
you got. There was a rumor at the start of COVID was basically like black people can't catch COVID. I don't know if you've heard of this or not.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I
Like
lived it in
I
Africa.
lived it.
They're like, boss, we don't get COVID. We are black, we are strong, we don't get COVID. And then most of them got COVID.
Oh my god.
Yeah, those same people
Man.
who were telling me we don't get COVID, we got tested, we got COVID.
Oh wow,
Oh my God.
that's
Ignorant.
funny. They were like, dude, we already. I had a black friend and I asked him. He's my Sudani friend from Jordan. Shout out to him. I asked him. I was like, well, "Why are you upset? Black people can't get COVID." He's like, "Yeah, I'm upset because we already have Ebola. Now we're gonna get COVID too." I was dying.
Oh
I
my
couldn't.
god.
I was dying. I was like, "Yo, you said it, not me." It was the funniest shit ever, man. God bless
I
black
think
people. Wallah.
I think in America, more black people are getting it than like white people disproportionately, and then like they really don't know why it's happening. I don't know if it's like health or like racism, or I've read a study which says that it's vitamin D levels, because like black people don't go out in the sun that much to tan versus us white people, we go out because we like to tan,
That's not how it
and
works.
so that's not how it works. Well, minorities usually work where, I mean, low income people work in like restaurants or food staff, or like they're inside more.
Yeah.
You don't get that much like access to go outside.
100%.
In the end, education is a must. Guys, I haven't done monologues in like 4 days and I've already lost my touch. Okay, give me a second. Let me just. Okay. Education system should usually be, based purely on, self. What do you want to do? It's hard to make kids from the age of like 16 to 20 decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives until they're like 60 to 100, right? But it's also hard to decide on how to teach, what to teach, when, and why to teach. Everything is
100%.
going to change except for education. I don't think it's going to change for a while, right? Why? Because there isn't a better way we can do it, in my opinion, before anyone.
That's not
starts-
true. Before every fact you can find on Google. Every fact our school system is done. Because what are they teaching us? They're teaching us how to memorize things. You don't need to memorize anything anymore. You had to memorize 20 years ago. Now you don't have to memorize. And our schools are treating it like we're in the exact same world. We're not in the
How
exact
do you not have to memorize? Why don't you have to memorize?
I mean, you can't you do have to memorize. It's good to like memorize things, but it's like, okay, let's say for example, the distance between, or like, I don't know, the radius of the moon.
Memorizing
Yeah.
600 the vocabulary words, for example.
Nurse, give me the scissors. No, not that one. No, not that
Let
one.
me Google it.
No, yeah, Google which one. Oh, yeah. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to memorize. What do you mean we don't have to memorize? Of course we have to memorize.
We're talking about like a very high stress, high urgency like job. But if I'm like a mathematician, I don't need to. I can Google.
Doctors get good at what they do because of experience. It's more of practical work, not theoretical work. It's more of practical, like the experience that can go over again, or not. You know more than you know more.
I knew he was gonna get that out.
Where?
Isn't that bad, huh?
Where? Tell me where.
Mean, like, that's how I know if a doctor is good or not, because if many of my friends or my relatives or whatnot, they experience surgery with him or an operation with him.
Yeah, that's in the later years.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's pointless showing them an organ when they don't know anything about or what it's called or what it does or how it acts, or it's pointless. They won't even know what they're looking at.
Mhm.
So that's how we go through 3-4 years of this before we actually see people getting cut up. And so that when we are showed what to do, we know why we're doing it, right? We know what are
Did
we
you do
looking.
any practical work? Did you do any
I
practical
mean,
work?
we do practical work in labs and shit, but we don't actually like cut people
Okay,
up
when you
or
go to a
anything.
lab, is it what you memorize that helps you, or is it
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
learning by? Oh, okay.
We
Okay, I
read
get it now.
already like in the theoretical, like what we're supposed to see, why we're seeing it, things like that. And then when we go into the lab, this is how we know if what we're doing is we're doing it right or not. Because if we get what we were told is the right answer, then we're working in the right way. But if it's in a different situation where, like, say the solution's supposed to turn pink, it goes yellow. Wait a minute,
But
something we did was wrong.
sorry,
Sorry?
guys.
So, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I think we've reached our time limit for the day.
I just want to mention one thing,
Go
actually,
ahead.
if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I think what the education system should add is teaching us or the future generations how to be flexible in their life. So, for example, when you mentioned the singer who wants to become a doctor, and if because this could happen, because okay, a person might choose a job career for the rest of their lives, but other people will not want the same job for the rest of their lives. They're gonna change. I mean, even from our parents' generations, I'm pretty sure. I mean, from my family, they've changed companies more than once because you want to try new things. You get bored doing the same thing over and over. Repetition is boring.
Okay.
So you try new things, but some people don't know how to go into new fields with that because they're afraid of taking the risk, and they're not very flexible with being in a new atmosphere. So they just get stuck with the same dead end job because they're not flexible with their decisions. I think this is maybe something that a person should experience in school or university, at least, mainly university actually, before they go into their careers.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Fair assumption. Anyways,
100%.
thank you, boys, for coming on today's episode. I am happy to be back. You know, I'm pretty sure
Thank you
Ali's
for you
happy to
guys
have
having
me
me.
back. You know what? This was fun. I hope to see you again in the future.
Inshallah.
Muhammad, I don't know if you've watched
Nice to
any
meet you again.
episode. Hey, nice to meet you too, buddy.
Yeah.
This is how we usually sign out. Oh boy, I miss doing this. Right? It's a
All right,
salute to
guys.
cover the cam. Ready? And peace.
Peace.